there's like that 10 or 5 second pause, but I don't know what to say. I'm just like, this is weird silence. I don't know what's going on. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Hashtag Sports. If you're new, which you shouldn't be because this is week 6, and I also would point out the irony of it saying the edge you need when if you look at our records right now, you did a better job avoiding us for the most part. Like we tell you what to pick so you can fade it and then be good. Ryan, before we do get started, first of all, again, thank everyone joining us, Hashtag Sports. My name's Joe. Right next to me over there is Ryan. Before we get started, I do want to take a quick second because we all know today, Wednesday, the hurricane has touched in Florida. You know, Hashtag Nation, has members all over the globe. And so we know that Hashtag Nation has people in Florida who watch us and hang out with us, not just on game days, but for everything. And so hope that you are safe because that's the most important thing, right? How many Dolphins fans live down there? It doesn't matter right now. We just want everyone to be safe. Everyone to, if they evacuated, great. If they couldn't or didn't, then hopefully you guys are doing everything you can to stay safe. This is the second severe hurricane to go through in the matter of 2 weeks or whatever. So yeah, we want to start by saying everyone stay safe. And if you can't join us, we're glad that you are.
And if you're not able to join us live, hopefully you're watching this recorded and everything went well and you're on the other side getting ready for a weekend filled with football, Joe. And I saw last Wednesday was the last day until the day before Thanksgiving that does not have a football game associated with it, whether it be college or pro. There is a game on every single night. This is the glory time of football until Thanksgiving. And then for me, a basketball fan, the glory time starts relatively soon here as well as basketball is getting going, getting some preseason work in. Saw CP3 hook up with his new running mate there in San Antonio, so that was fun to watch. And hopefully everybody's staying safe and with the weather down south. But hopefully you're able to relax a little bit come this weekend after the storm goes by and watch some sports. So looking forward to hopefully giving you guys some winning picks. Been rough sledding out there, but you know what, Joe? It's been rough sledding for everybody. If you look at all the books around, all the experts, quote unquote, everyone's having a rough go of it. This has been definitely a wild start to the NFL season. I saw a stat today that road dogs of 5 points or more have a 74% cover percentage this year, and that's pretty unheard of. Usually, if you're a road dog and you're a touchdown or more dog on the road, you tend not to fare too well. This year, it's crazy. This year, man, it's tough out in these streets.
But that's something you always have to figure out, and you try to figure out as early as possible, right? Is the trends for the season. Because every year there's a new trend, something's going on, and we're going to talk about this a little later, but I do feel like slapping myself in the face. If you recall, and you'll know you were here before the Bills started their 3-game road trip, I talked about how teams were 0-15 against the spread last year when they had back-to-back road games. And here I am 2 weeks in, and I won't spoil anything yet, but 2 weeks in, and I picked the Bills both weeks, and they lost both weeks. So I'm not even listening to my own advice, and it's just annoying me a little bit. But we will see how things change. And like you said, we're beginning to pick up on tendencies, on trends, and we'll see if those trends continue. One trend that's been pretty good between you and I, Ryan, I think between the two of us, we've been wrong one time on Thursday Night Football. So, at least we're getting something right. So we're going to go ahead and get started. And before we go forward, we do want to take a quick look back. And if you recall last week against the spread, I went 8-6, 9-5 straight up. You went 8-6 against the spread as well, 7-7 straight up. It's getting better, but I still want double-digit wins straight up every single week. And if we can get double digits against the spread, I'll do that too. But against the spread, I am 42-36, 43-35 straight up. Ryan, you are 37-41 against the spread, 41-37 against the spread. But we all know that you and I are going head-to-head in our parlays and our bets. And if you look down at the units, I am down. It's going to be a long road back for me.
Just takes a couple though, Joe. I mean,
it does.
we got our locks of the week. You got some big plays. You went last week. You went a plus 1,700, and I think you were one leg off from hitting that. So all it takes is one good week to get yourself back in good shape. So we'll get there before the season's out.
There you go. And that's the good thing about having multiple bets. Like, so the bad thing is you go down quick, right? But the good news is if you have multiple different parlays or multiple different units being spent out there on different things, it can go up as well pretty quickly. You started off hot, and now not so much, still up. So let's both get on the winning track this week, so that we don't have to see any red numbers. We can both try to get in the black before the season ends. That's the goal. And it starts with Thursday night football. So we're going to move towards Thursday night football. Oh, I'm sorry. First, you're right, Ryan. We do want to talk about the buys. We have 4 teams on a buy this week. Last week was the first week for buys. This week, some good teams out on the buys. So, if you're talking about fantasy football, you want to make sure you don't have anyone in your lineup from these 4 teams. If you're talking about some bets that you like to make sure you don't include these 4 teams because they're not going to be there. You have 3 good teams on the Dolphins on here. Not to worry about it. But those are your 4 teams on a bye this week. And I don't know if I talked to you about this before, Ryan, but I hate when they do that, like the spread bye weeks out so much.
Yeah.
I wish there were 2 bye weeks or 2 weeks. Week 8 and week 9. Week 8 they had 16 teams on a bye. Week 9 they had 14 teams on bye. Then just forget about it, right? Everyone has a mid-season bye. Everyone's fine. That's my personal preference, but I rarely get what I want.
Yeah, but the problem is then you only get 6 or 7 games in a weekend, and that's not good for the NFL.
Nobody
and speaking of
that.
fantasy, Joe mentioned fantasy. If you guys are watching and you are fantasy football players, we're going to move into Thursday night here. Please remember to put your teams, your players that are playing on Thursday night into a position slot. Do not put them in the flex. Give yourself some flexibility in case there's some late additions to the injury report or something that gives you some flexibility. So if you got a guy that's going Thursday night in Thursday night football, running back, wide receiver, get him in those running back, wide receiver spots. Don't sit him in the flex. Make sure you give yourself some flexibility come Sunday in case you need to hit a home run. You need to put somebody in like a Jalen Tolbert from last week in the Dallas game, something like that. Give yourself the ability to do that.
Yeah, one of those, fantasy football 101 things that a lot of people don't think about early on, but then as you get into it, you realize, man, you really should be doing that. Yes, absolutely. If you have someone on Thursday night football, do not put them in the flex. And injuries this year, at least for our Buffalo Bills, if not other teams, there's a lot of them. So you got to be prepared to find some value if needed late Sunday, early or for Monday as well. So going into the Thursday night football game, this is another great divisional matchup. We had a really great divisional matchup game last Thursday. I enjoyed watching it. I know that I was on the winning end of that spread. Ryan, I think you went the other way. But this time, money line at least, we're looking at the same thing. We're looking at San Fran in what I feel like is as close to a must-win situation in week 6 that you could really have for the 49ers. The reason why I have Seattle covering the spread is simply due to that Thursday travel, right? That Thursday game, a little bit different. I think they can keep this game close and make it maybe a 3-point game. But we both have the Niners winning this one. Again, I think it's as close to a must-win as possible for the Niners.
Yeah, I mean it's for the division right now, right? I mean the winner will be leading the division, and that's big for San Francisco after the rough start that they've gotten off to.
Right.
And right now, I mean, Seattle's playing pretty good ball, but San Francisco is going to have everybody back healthy with the exception of Christian McCaffrey on Thursday. Right. So they're going to have a full battery of weapons, and I think that's the difference in covering or not covering the spread for San Francisco. Yeah. I think this is kind of like a remind everybody who you are on prime time kind of game.
Right. And to your point, a lot of these people come back who are healthy. The fact that this game's on Thursday doesn't affect them as much because they didn't play last week. So they're like, okay, I'm rested, I'm good to go. So that's a good pick there. The only one not playing is if you have the number 1 overall pick in fantasy, you haven't seen him. Like, that's it. That's the only guy not playing. So no big deal there. But we move on to Sunday for Sunday football, and we have the London series starting for the Jaguars. We had a London game last week. This is the start of their back-to-back games in London. we went opposite directions on this one. Ryan, you picked the Bears because you believe the Bears are the better team, correct?
Yeah, I just don't have much faith in Jacksonville. This was a tough one though, right? Because Jacksonville's so comfortable playing in London. They've been doing it for about a decade now. It feels like. So
yeah.
I mean, this is one where experience definitely matters, but if you're gonna beat Jacksonville in London, it's gonna be on the front end of their back-to-back, not that second game. They're I think they're unbeaten in the 2 or 3 seasons that they've done that back-to-back.
Yeah.
I just think Chicago has the better team. They have a good defense. They're playing really well right now. Jacksonville had a good game last week, but I'm not sure it's enough to sway me that I actually believe that they're going to win more football games. And then the other thing is Chicago's 3-1-1 against the spread. I mean, we talked about it at the beginning of the show, Joe. Trends are starting to form, right? Chicago's good against the spread. I'll take them in this game.
Yeah, and to be honest, and you mentioned it, the only reason why I'm picking Jacksonville is because Caleb Williams has never dealt with this, right? Like, even if you have other teams coming to London, a lot of them have dealt with international travel before, where you look at Caleb Williams, who in my opinion, even though he had a great week last week or a good week last week, still inconsistent as a rookie is. That travel schedule is going to throw him off completely. We have a young team, or at least a young team as long as they've been together in Chicago. And so I think for that reason, it favors Jacksonville. But I'm with you. I think the Bears are a better team here. I just think for Jacksonville, it's pretty much a home game, but it's across the pond. So I think that Jacksonville will. And I also think Jacksonville left early due to what's going on in Florida, just to make sure they can make the trip. So, an extra day or two, that even adds more to the idea that, they're going to be more comfortable come game time. So then you move to the 1 o'clock hour. That game's going to be on NFL Network, 9:30 a.m. So you can have football all day long. Not only every day of the week, but now you get it all day long on Sunday. It's beautiful. So you start with the 1 o'clock games. And, Ryan and I think we're both looking forward to this game. Should be a fun shootout style game. I have Arizona covering the spread. Ryan, you have the Green Bay Packers covering the spread. We both have the Packers winning this one, and we both have a shootout, right, Ryan?
Oh yeah. This one's absolutely going to be a shootout. I think the difference here is Jordan Love's back, fully healthy. Really found his stride last week in that particular game. This is a huge win letdown type of game for Arizona. They had that come from behind victory against San Francisco. Finally got in the win column against them, and now that's a kind of a sets you up for a letdown. And then now they have to go. Now they have to come to the East Coast or the central time zone to play Green Bay in a really tough environment. Green Bay had an opportunity with Minnesota on a bye, the opportunity to kind of close that gap in the division a little bit. So I think this is an opportunity for Green Bay to kind of prove that they're back. They are still one of the top teams in the NFC.
Right. Yeah. And you think about the Arizona Cardinals, again, those are trends that happen where you come from behind against a division opponent, get an emotionally charged win the following week. You're not quite where you were the week before. So I see the Packers win this one, but backdoor cover, something like that at the end of this one. Going to the next game, a game that, we talk about how interested we are in the game prior. No interest at all in this game. At all. I have no interest at all in this game. You look at the Colts and again, looking at trends, Colts 4-1 against the spread compared to Titans 1-3 against the spread. So easy money says go for the Colts. But I look at the Tennessee Titans coming off that bye week. I think that they've had an extra week to prepare, and I think that matters here, and that's going to be the difference for me. That's why I went with the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah, I think the problem for me is that the bye week probably gets Will Levis back on the field, and Will Levis has been an absolute disaster for Tennessee so far this season. I think that with Flacco in at quarterback again, they're going to lose Pittman. It sounds like for quite a while, but that's okay. He's got a really good relationship with Josh Downs. He's got a really good relationship with Alec Pierce. It sounds like Jonathan Taylor might be back this game. If that's the case, I feel really good about this pick. But for right now, I'm just going to take the team that has the potential for an offensive explosion, and that's not Tennessee.
And I'm not going to lie, everyone wants to see what Anthony Richardson has, and I'm with them on that. Is Joe Flacco giving the job back to him though?
No, he's not.
Don't
I don't think
know.
he's going to
Like,
give
I
that
don't think
job
he
back.
is.
As long as they're in that AFC South hunt,
Mm-hmm.
they're not. I don't think they're going to give that game back. And again, this is another one. Trends are starting to form, right? Indianapolis 4-1 against the spread this season, so I like them to. I like them to win this game.
There you go. And then the next 1 o'clock game we have features battle of two different teams. Yeah, battle of two different teams. Now, for Houston, bad news. Luckily for them, this week they're playing a team like New England. But bad news, they do lose Collins for at least 4 games. He was put on IR. I don't think it's going to matter too much in this game, but that is why I have New England covering the spread. We did see how Houston had trouble moving the ball against Buffalo once Nico Collins went out. I see those struggles kind of continuing against a pretty decent. If they have one strong suit, it's that defense in New England. So we'll see if they can keep this game within a touchdown. Ryan, you just think this is going to be gone?
Yeah, I mean it's two things. One, Houston's getting Joe Mixon back this week.
Yes,
that brings that run game back, which is so super valuable for this offense. And the other thing is you're going to see Drake May in at quarterback for the New England Patriots. Rookie quarterback in front of a really bad offensive line with no weapons around him. I mean, they really can't be putting him in a worse situation to start this week. And I think it's going to be a disaster. I'm hoping it's not something that ruins a quarterback's future, but this is one of those games that could get really ugly really quick, and maybe puts the Sam Darnold in Drake May. Maybe he's going to start seeing ghosts after this type of game. But that Houston defense, man, they're going to be swarming. They gave Josh Allen fits, and I think if they do the same thing to Drake May, it's going to be over quick, and this is going to be like a 3-possession game by the time the thing's over.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and we can see this one getting ugly early, and then Houston laying off the gas, and that's why the under is going to hit. Because again, I look at New England pretty much all season long. We said this last week when they went against the Dolphins, and I'll say it again this week. Where are they getting points from? I mean, where are they getting points from? It looks pretty bad right now for the Patriots. So going on to the next game, which, I love what the NFC South looks like right now. For so long, people just, and even this offseason, people just thought the NFC South winner was going to be 10-7, barely squeak by. And this was going to be the worst division in sports. Well, right now, the worst division is if you're a fan of hashtag sports, is our division in the AFC East, in my opinion. But this is one of the better ones. It's been kind of surprising. And I'm looking forward to this game. I don't know, are you, Ryan?
Yeah, I mean, I'm actually surprised the spread's not bigger because it sounds like, and it may have moved. I didn't check since the news came out that it's going to be Spencer Rattler at quarterback. Right. So I didn't check the line after that. It could be bigger than -3.5 right now for Tampa Bay. Great division. I don't know how good this game turns out with Rattler in at quarterback. That's why I'm going with the under. I think Tampa Bay probably wins this one fairly easily. So. But remember, I mean, the other thing to keep in mind is Tampa did leave early. Tampa left actually Tuesday to get to New Orleans because of the storm. So typically they would leave Saturday because of the proximity, but now they left Tuesday. So they're in New Orleans early. I don't know if that's going to hurt or help, but I think Tampa wins this one primarily because of the Derek Carr situation. If he's out, I'm not sure how well this offense runs. We haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, and not only that, and I'll get into this with my props a little bit later too. Baker Mayfield, not a good week last week, right? Coming off bad performances, he normally shines the following week, at least over the past 2 years when he's actually been decent. So I look for that trend to continue, and that's why I think the Buccaneers will win this game and cover that 3.5 point spread. So going on to the next game on Sunday, an Eagles team coming off a bye, desperate for a win. Big spread here now, 9.5. Listen, if this thing gets to a double-digit spread, it wouldn't surprise me because this Browns team is in shambles. I think Ryan and I both agree. There's no way the Browns, like Deshaun Watson, is spent, Ryan. I don't even know what to say about Deshaun Watson right now.
I think Deshaun Watson's hoping to get benched at this point. Like, even he's hoping to get benched. The checks are going to clear one way or the other, right? Like, get me out of the spotlight. Just let me sit on the bench and ignore things. It sounds like the Browns want Jameis Winston. Like, this could be a tipping point game for them. If what I think is going to happen happens, and that's Philadelphia comes out and just absolutely embarrasses the Cleveland Browns. They're coming off the bye. They're fresh. They've got all their weapons. AJ Brown's going to be back.
Yeah.
I just don't see how this ends well for the Cleveland Browns, and Cleveland's in shambles is a polite way of putting how they're doing right now. So yeah, I mean, I think this is a situation where Philadelphia builds a big lead, and I don't know if they take the foot off the gas because I think they're going to try to send a message.
Yeah, and this is the exact game. They unfortunately for Cleveland, this is the one team you probably don't want to play. It's a team that needs to send a message coming off of bye weekend, all their weapons back. It's going to be bad, and it's in Philadelphia, so it's going to be bad, and it's probably going to be bad, ugly in that one. Before we move on to the next game, I do want to remind everyone that we are filming. So if you're not watching this live, we film on Wednesday nights. So if you're watching this Friday, make sure you're checking what the spread looks like, because it might change a couple points, and that matters in the betting world. So make sure you are checking that as well. I thought about saying that for the Tampa Bay New Orleans game because we found out about Rattler. I didn't say that, but do remember that. Moving on to the next game, you got, again, a game that I think is going to be a lot of fun to watch. A game of a team on the up in the Washington Commanders and a team that is finally getting back in the stride where they should be. The Washington Commanders come into this game as 6.5-point underdogs. I don't like that disrespect, but in order to get respect, you have to earn it, and this is a spot where Washington can really earn some respect. So you see what we have there. Ryan, your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I mean, I almost picked Washington to win this football game, to be quite honest. I think this is going to be an absolute shootout. We saw it last week with Baltimore and Cincinnati. Baltimore's defense is not what they were against the Buffalo Bills. They're not a good defense right now. Jaden Daniels is playing at the absolute highest level. Like a win against Baltimore this week, and I think Jaden Daniels is a legitimate contender for the MVP. Just as a precursor, I mean, Joe, we did our season preview show, and I did tell everyone to put some money on Jaden Daniels Rookie of the Year because I thought the kid was going to come in and be electric. I didn't think he'd be this, but I thought he'd come in and be absolutely electric under that Cliff Kingsbury offense. Yeah, I mean, so I think this is a game that I wouldn't be surprised if Washington won. I'm picking Baltimore. This is the one I'm picking because of the coach, right? Like Harbaugh's probably going to do enough to get things done against the rookie, but this is going to be a high-flying, really fun game. I may actually skip Red Zone on Sunday and just tune into this one. We'll see how things go. But, yeah, I think this will be a fun one. I think Washington keeps it close. I think Baltimore, ultimately wins the football game on the back of Derrick Henry like they've done all year, but Washington's going to make it a fun game.
Yeah, that's the joy. I don't get too much joy about having all these primetime games, but one of the joys I get is that I get to enjoy a pretty good 1 o'clock schedule. Because I don't know if you remember last Sunday, I was doing the Bills game and I was keeping everyone updated on scores, and it was like close game. I was like, this is intense, and it was intense. But this one, I expect this one to be a fun one to watch, and I will be tuning in as well. Going to the next 1 o'clock game.
Joe, before we move on, Joe, real quick, I want to send a shout out to our sponsor. So you guys remember, check it out in the top left-hand corner of all of our slides here, BetDSI. Make sure you check out BetDSI. It's about living the moment. If you're ready to take that passion to the next level, check out BetDSI. They've been around for over 20 years. They know how to treat real fans like us with the best odds, the fastest payouts, and a platform that's as solid as, well, not the Bills defense, but as solid as a good defense right now. Whether you're betting on the Bills to dominate the AFC, you're making those crucial live bets during the game, or if you're like Joe and you're chasing some money because you got down early, BetDSI is everything you need to make your picks count. And then for hashtag sports listeners, this is something special just for us. Sign up today and use promo code HTAG. BetDSI is going to hook you up with a 120% bonus on your first deposit up to $1,000. That is free money, guys. That's the stuff you go have fun with. So make your first deposit. They're going to match you 120% up to $1,000. And that's going to be money that you're going to use to have those really fun parlays that are like, plus 1,000 type parlays. Don't wait. Head over to betdsi.eu. Use promo code HTAG. Start turning your Bills knowledge into big wins. BetDSI, where real fans win. So
I'm going over there right now to see what promos I can get for putting in more money because I need to. So
there you go.
So what promos can I get now? But yeah, we do want to make sure we thank BetDSI. I also want to thank Mr. Rogers for his continued sponsorship for hashtag sports. as well. Both links to their websites in the description. So we do move on to the 4 o'clock games, Ryan. And, this is one that I looked at. And again, you talk about those trends, right? And not only that, I know I said this earlier in the year, but I stick by it. The Denver Broncos, to me, with the altitude where they play, I think they have one of the biggest home field advantages in the NFL. You look at you look at Denver 4-1 against the spread. And so I'm going to pick them here to cover the spread. I actually have them winning this game straight up. So that's why I think we both have the over hitting. I think there's going to be more points in this game than than predicted, obviously. But I think it's going to be 40 or plus points.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is going to be 20-17 type of game, right? Like that's enough to cover. That's not a really high scoring game. These are two good defenses. In a game with two good defenses, I'll take the better quarterback, and that's kind of what this comes down to. I think Denver's good enough to keep it close for sure. I think this is one where Los Angeles wins it at like the buzzer with a field goal type of situation. So yeah, I mean I'll take Denver to keep it close enough to cover, but I'll take because again they're 4-1 against the spread, right? Like they win close football games this season, and I'll take Los Angeles to win it because they're still the second best team in the NFC or the AFC West, and I think this is an opportunity for them to gain ground on Kansas City without having to watch Kansas City win.
Yep. Yeah. Kind of same thing that you were saying about Green Bay falls for the Chargers as well. So we both have the Broncos covering the spread. We split on the money line. Moving to the following game, the other 4:05 game, you got the Steelers going to Las Vegas. I'm glad I remember that. And playing against the Las Vegas Raiders. We see this going the same way. Low scoring game, not too many points. And we both see the Steelers winning this game, covering the 3-point spread. I don't see this as a fun game to watch, actually, unless you're a defensive guy. But this game might just be sloppy.
Yeah, Aiden O'Connell gets the nod at quarterback for the Raiders, so we'll see him get his first start. Russell Wilson has been healthy and practicing in full with no injury designation for the first time all season, so it'll be interesting to see what the Steelers do at quarterback. My assumption is it's going to stay Justin Fields, but this is a game that the Steelers really need to win, right? They need to get off the skid. They've lost 2 in a row now. And they cannot afford to drop another game, especially if Baltimore wins, right? Like they're going to see that Baltimore result at 1:00, and if that's the case, this game's for the division lead. So they're going to have to make sure that they get the victory. And I wouldn't be surprised if Fields comes. I don't expect it, but if Fields comes out and plays bad, do they make the change to Russell Wilson? But at the end of the day, Aiden O'Connell at quarterback, no Devontae Adams. Like I don't see the firepower for the Raiders being able to overcome the defense for the Steelers. This is going to be this is going to be another one. It's like 17-13, like is how this one's going to end, which is why I'm going the under. I just think it's going to be abysmal. They're going to check in like 1 or 2 times during red zone, and that'll be it.
I think 17-13 on one of those scores is a defensive score.
Absolutely. Of the 3 touchdowns, I would not be surprised if one of them is defensive one. I wouldn't be surprised if 2 of them are defensive ones.
That's right. That's right. If I could parlay or if I can prop bet Steelers defensive touchdown, maybe I'm putting some money there.
2 defensive touchdowns and a field goal for the Steelers. That's the margin of victory.
Perfect. Now we go to the 4:25 games. I think
talk about
they're
a fun
CBS.
one.
Yeah, talk about a fun one. And Ryan and I see this going the same way. We expect to have some fun here. The Dallas Cowboys at home playing against the Detroit Lions. The Lions, I believe, Ryan, coming off the bye. Is that correct?
Yeah, coming off the bye.
Yep. Coming off the bye week as well. And that's one of the reasons why I see Dallas not being able to put up as many points as this Detroit Lions team. I think that Jared Goff comes out on fire. And, I see this game and I'm like, man, I would put money on almost every offensive weapon on both these teams because you're going to hit more than you're not, really. And we'll get into those props a little bit later. But, yeah, every skill position, just put money on each one and see what happens, and you might be ahead by the end of this game.
Yeah, I've got this one like high scoring, but like 31-24 type of high scoring. I think Detroit just has too many weapons at this point, and they're coming off the bye. They've had 2 full weeks to prepare for Dallas. And Dallas is coming off of a tough win last week against Pittsburgh, right? And that was a hard-nosed fight, and those types of games tend not to translate too well. But Dallas is good at home, right? They're better at home than they are on the road. So I wouldn't be surprised if they hang in this game for quite a while. But I think Detroit, again, they just have too many weapons. Their defense is playing really well right now, and they have the extra rest with the bye, and I think that's the difference here.
Yeah, the only thing that really scares me if you're a Cowboys fan, which I am not, but that relationship between Dak and CD seems to really be souring quickly, and something needs to happen there.
Yeah, not ideal for Jerry when both just got paid to now all of a sudden the relationship is starting to splinter.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens there if we can do any more lip reading during this game. Going to the other 4:25 game, and you have the Carolina. I mean, good thing the other one's gonna be entertaining because I don't see this one being entertaining at all. Again, I could see if this spread Ryan was 9.5, I'd probably still lean Atlanta. I just don't see this one being close. Give me Atlanta to cover the spread. Give me Atlanta to win this game. To be honest, the fact that they're less than a touchdown favorite and the money line is minus 260, like that's that big of a margin, that should tell you something right there, in my opinion. But again, for all you bettors to do this pro, you know more than I do. So, but to me, that tells me something.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this one, Atlanta, same. I mean, just too many weapons, right? Like Carolina saw a really nice boost early when Andy Dalton came in, and they've kind of come back down to earth and reminded everybody that like he's still Andy Dalton. So, fine player, but he's getting older, and he's not that guy that's going to come out and just rifle it all over the field like he used to. Meanwhile, Kirk Cousins is rifling it all over the field. Drake London is emerging as a legit alpha wide receiver. Bijan Robinson is starting to find his groove a little bit. Even Kyle Pitts is playing pretty well right now. And then the other thing has been that Carolina likes to lean on the run, and that's where Atlanta's defense is the strongest, is against the run. So, I think this is just too much for Atlanta. They're still attempting to take hold of the NFC South. They're going to have the game in hand with Tampa, so they're going to know what happened with Tampa and New Orleans. And again, we picked Tampa to go to 4-2. I think Atlanta's going to have to hold serve and go to 4-2 on the season as well.
Well, and Atlanta's had 3 extra days too, right? Because they played Thursday last week,
Thursday
so
night.
they've had extra time to look for this divisional matchup. So those are the Sunday day and afternoon games. Now we get to Sunday night football. Last week that game. Which one was the Sunday night game? Was the Dallas-Pittsburgh game the Sunday night game last week?
No, Dallas was
Monday
night.
Dallas-Pittsburgh
was Sunday because Kansas City played on
right. Kansas City, played that game. Well, both those games, I feel like I was anticipating those a lot more than this one here. I am not.
Boy, this one looked a lot better on paper when the season started, didn't it? We were talking about the Giants being like a sleeper for the NFC East, and we were talking about Cincinnati maybe being the best team in the AFC with Patrick Mahomes taking a step back, and man, this is not shaped up at all.
If there is an hour and a half rain delay before this game starts, I will not see a single snap of this game.
That is a sign to go to bed early 2 weeks in a row.
So, and that's okay by me. But yeah, the Cincinnati Bengals, and record-wise, it looks like it might be a decent game, but it won't be, in my opinion. I think Cincinnati comes out strong. I could see both let's just look at what their offense did last week. Sure, it was against Baltimore, but I could see their offense exploding again. Only issue for me is I think it's going to be the Bengals are going to get up so big so early. They're just going to run the ball until the game's over and say, okay, we're done.
Yeah, I mean, this is one we'll see. I don't think Malik Neighbors is expected to be back. If that's the case, I'm not sure how the Giants keep up. Cincinnati ran into a buzzsaw last week. The only reason they didn't win, they had a huge offensive game, and they just couldn't stop Lamar Jackson, who was doing absurd things with the football. And I don't see Daniel Jones doing absurd things with the football in a positive way for his team. So this is one where, Brian Daboll has to probably be considering, like, hey, Salah's gone. Like, the first chess piece has fallen in terms of coaches losing their jobs mid-season. how much longer can I stick around here? So it'll be interesting to see what the fallout is after Sunday, because I think this one's going to be very ugly very early, and it's going to be a heavy dose of Chase Brown and Zach Moss. To your point, Joe.
Yeah, I think that the Giants upsetting Seattle last week does give them a stay of execution like a little bit longer. But I also think because of that win that this spread's a lot closer than it should be. So
yeah, I mean it's going to be tough, Joe, because if you come out and you win a big game against Seattle last week, and then you come into prime time and you get 30 dropped on your head, that's going to be a tough pill to swallow if you're the owners of the Giants.
I agree. So those are all the Sunday, all the Thursday games, but we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about our Buffalo Bills. And it's a tough conversation right now to be having when you're talking about the Buffalo Bills. But if there's a team where it's a tougher time to have a conversation, it's the New York, New Jersey Jets, because they just fired their head coach. And there's, we could get into a full episode as to whether or not Aaron Rodgers has his hand in that or not, even though he says he didn't. Surprise, surprise. But the Jets, again, kind of having a rough go right now. And I think, Buffalo's lucky that they're having this tough time maybe and coming into this game.
Yeah, weird decision, right, to do it when they did it on a Tuesday before your team plays. Yeah. I don't understand the move. It's clearly Aaron Rodgers. The rumor was that Saleh was getting ready to take play calling duties away from Hackett. There was a call made, and all of a sudden, Saleh's out, getting escorted out by security, which was kind of an interesting thing because they didn't even escort Adam Gase out of the building, and he deserved to be carried out in handcuffs. So Robert Saleh, he's going to have his pick of teams in the offseason to go be a defensive coordinator somewhere. Like, he's going to be fine, right? Like, Robert Saleh is one of the best defensive minds in football right now, so you don't worry about him at all. On the other hand, you do probably need to worry about Aaron Rodgers. Like, dude looks cooked. He's refusing to, modernize the offense. He's refusing to use pre-snap motion. Like, all the things are going wrong. And I think it speaks volumes that Hackett wasn't named interim offensive coordinator. Like, you wonder if Aaron's even thinking that there might be some trouble in paradise. But I saw the perfect analogy for this, Joe. This is a must-win for the New York Jets, right? This is a can't lose for the Buffalo Bills. Like, they cannot lose this football game. They absolutely have to get it done Monday night. Like, you have to stay atop the division. If you lose to the Jets are in first place. And you could make the argument that they've had a very rough a start to the season as anyone else. And if they're all of a sudden in first place after that rough start, that's not boding well for Buffalo. I think you got to get it done. I think they get it done. And I think it's a game where it's going to be low scoring. It's going to be kind of one of those defensive battles. McDermott's going to bring his A game because he's starting to get a lot of questions as to his, viability as a coach, and he tends to respond in those moments. And then the Jets changing head coaches, that doesn't work out typically too well in recent years. Like, you think about that new coach bump that people talk about. Teams that have changed their head coach since 2007 have only won about 41% of their games following the replacement. So there's not a bump that a lot of people think that there is. All those things kind of go into Buffalo, I think, wins this football game because it comes down to who's the better football team at a certain point, right? And I think Buffalo is just a better football team right now than the New York Jets are.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, because the Bills still have a whole slate of injuries, right? There's a whole slate of them, and we still know that Von Miller's going to be out. So,
well, now James Cook's on the injury report. Sounds like Ed Oliver's still hurt. So
You're still on there. We don't
sounds
know.
like Teron Johnson might be back this week, which would be a huge win for them. It'll be interesting to see. But I think this is going to be these types of games tend to be like a Josh Allen special type of games, right? Like, he's going to come out, he's going to be the centaur. He's going to be all the names, right? The unicorn, the fireball, whatever you want to call him. It's going to be Chaos Josh on Monday, and I think he's going to have a pretty big game this week.
I hope so. So those are our picks for this week. Before we get into our parlay, our bets, Ryan, do you again want to give a quick shout out to our sponsor?
Yeah, reminder, guys, BetDSI. Make sure you go check them out, betdsi.eu. They're doing a really special promo for us for hashtag listeners. Sign up today. Use promo code HTAG. They're going to hook you up with a 120% bonus on your first deposit. They're going to match you up to $1,000. So you deposit $100, they're going to give you a free $120 for you to go have some fun with, or turn it into play smart money. Play the minus odds and win some money on that, or just go have some fun with the free money, right? Free money don't make money. So don't wait. Head over to betdsi.eu, promo code HTAG. Start turning your football knowledge and all the stuff you hear us talk about into big wins. BetDSI, where real Bills fans win.
Perfect. So we want to talk about our bets. Before you guys go betting your money, let's talk about some bets that what we have, so you know which ones not to take. So again, I have we both have our locks, 2 units on the locks. So we want to make sure we talk about those first. I have an anytime touchdown parlay that will really work out well if it hits and Bo Nix does find himself in the end zone. That's kind of the big one there for me. I could easily see CeeDee Lamb and Josh Jacobs get in the end zone this week. Like I said, bet any of your athletes that are in the Lions Cowboys game, you'll be all right. It's that Bo Nix one that I'm like, let's see if he can get in. He did get in last week. He's had 3 touchdowns this year rushing, so I would see that. And then Baker Mayfield, again, like I said before, normally after a poor performance past 2 seasons, he's come back strong. 2 weeks ago, he threw for like 180, 170, something like that. Threw for over 300 against the Eagles then. And so I would expect him to have another big game. And then Saquon Barkley, like we talked about, we both have in at least one of our parlays, Saquon Barkley anytime TD.
Joe, would you take the Baker Mayfield? Like how high would you go on that? Would you go to like 250?
Yeah,
like
262. 262 and a half is my one bet. Yep.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, so mine, again, like Joe mentioned, I'm grabbing a piece of that Lions-Cowboys game. I think David Montgomery gets in the end zone. The Cowboys have given up the 3rd most rushing touchdowns of any team in NFL this year, and David Montgomery is that hammer that Detroit likes to use. Saquon Barkley back from the bye week. I think that's a good bet from Joe. So I'll add that in there. And like I said, Drake London monster game last week. I don't expect that to let up when it comes to passing touchdowns. The Carolina Panthers have allowed the most passing touchdowns on defense of the entire NFL. So Drake London as the primary pass catcher, I like him to get into the end zone. My Bills special for the week, I'd like to throw those together. I'm 3-2 on those as well, just like the Bills records. Josh Allen, 25 plus rushing yards. I think it's gonna be chaos. Josh, he's gonna run the ball. James Cook, I'm gonna go on 80 plus rushing and receiving yards. So combine his rushing receiving yards, I'm going to go 80 plus. I would tease that one up a little higher. I thought maybe about going to up to 100 plus on that. I'd probably be okay with it, especially if it's with some of that free money that you're going to get from betdsi.eu with promo code HTAG. I would probably take that up to 100. And then I got the Bills covering the spread minus 2.5. So Josh Allen, 25 plus rushing yards. James Cook, 80 or more rushing receiving yards, and the Bills to cover that 2.5 point spread. That's my Bills special of the week.
There you go. And now moving on to the other bets. You have your Bills special. Again, I'm going to start doing my Thursday night football special. Currently 0-1. I just started last week, so we'll drag on the winning trend here. Brandon Ayuk yet to have a touchdown this season. That has to stop at some point, right? And what a better way to do it than in prime time. Again, like you said, when all the weapons are there, the defense will have to be a little bit more spread out, giving Ayuk a chance to score a touchdown, and the 49ers winning. Bijan Robinson, I think both you and I have big games for him intended, 85 plus rushing yards, and then Zay Flowers, anytime TD. We know that Lamar Jackson's doing really well recently. Find him one time for me so I can get back on the winning track.
For me, I'm going Jaden Daniels, 250 plus passing yards. Again, I think this is going to be a shootout type of football game. Daniels is throwing missiles all over the field. I love him at 250 or more passing yards. Steph Diggs in the next game. That no Nico Collins. We talked about that. They're going to get Joe Mixon back. That should open up the passing game a little bit. I think Stephon Diggs is the beneficiary of the additional targets. He had 9 last week against Buffalo, got over 80 yards, and that was with Nico Collins playing for an entire half. So I like Diggs. 80 or more receiving yards in that game. And then a little Derrick Henry special. He scored in every single football game this season. He's topped 100 or more rushing yards in every single game this season. If he does it both again this week, which seems like a pretty good bet, this is a little, actually, Joe, interestingly enough, most guys, if you look at this as a kind of a combo situation, almost every running back in the league, you're going to get like plus 200 or higher. This is about even money for Derrick Henry. This is like plus 105 right now, I think, is what I was leaving it at. So nice little double up there. Derrick Henry over 100 yards. Washington's terrible against the run. One of the worst teams in football against the run. Ravens love to run the football. We saw how that worked out against Buffalo. We saw how it worked out against Cincinnati. Derrick Henry, 100 or more rushing yards and a touchdown on Sunday gets it done. So those are our props of the week.
Perfect. So those are our props. Those are our parlays. Those are our picks. So if you're not watching this live, if you tuned in later, let us know in the comment section which picks do you like the most, or which props do you look at and say, yeah, I'm taking that one because that one looks like a winner, or which props do you look at and say, you two don't know what you're talking about, and you might pick all of them, and we're fine with that because that's what the evidence is there to prove that you might be right when you say you don't know what we're talking about. But let us know in the comment section. But guys, week 6, like Ryan talked about at the beginning, trends beginning to show up. So let's work on those trends and get Ryan. Something that I look at sometimes is referee trends. Let's not forget about those either. They have those trends as well.
That's right. They start to play out as well, and we'll continue to add those types of analytics as we go throughout the season to kind of rationalize some of our picks here. So constantly evolving here at Razor Sharpe Picks, and we're looking forward to getting back on the winning side, staying on the winning side. We were on the winning side last week, Joe. We're going to stay there. We're going to get the double-digit wins on the money line. We're gonna continue to stay 500 or more against the spread. Sounds
good. I'm a big fan of that. But for Ryan, for myself, guys, enjoy your week. Don't forget to join #sports on Monday Night Football. I'll be live for that. Also, Paul was live Friday when breaking news came about Shakir. We do go live when we can with breaking news. So if you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button, like this video, and like I said, leave a comment. Let us know what your bets are this week. For Ryan, for myself, thanks for joining us. We'll see you soon until we do. Go Bills.
Go Bills.